Alrighty, folks, it looks like I'm going live here. Hopefully, all of the technical things are going smoothly here. Um, okay, now it looks like I'm officially live. So, anyways, I'm titling this Five Reasons to Be Optimistic. And I was talking with a friend, dear friend, last night, and she was just expressing to me how she's been feeling kind of pessimistic about the state of the world, and I totally get that. I mean, I've been researching and learning about the state of the humanity really since 2008 when I had a big awakening and started learning about social issues. So I just wanted to get on here and share a few practical reasons why I'm actually optimistic about the future. And so I'll start by saying back in 2008, I read a book called Ishmael by Daniel Quinn, and this book talks about like the history of humanity and basically how everything in our world came to be the way it is now. And it's an amazing book. I highly recommend it to everyone. It's called Ishmael by Daniel Quinn. Hello, Jessica, and hello everyone tuning in to this now and in the future. Thanks for tuning in. I have some pretty interesting stuff to share here, so please stick around if you feel inspired. So I read this book called Ishmael, and it really opened my eyes to like how things got to be how they are today in the modern world. And after reading Ishmael, I wanted to dig deeper and really investigate. Hey, Brooke, um, and really investigate like how civilization came to be the way it is today. And so I started reading this author named Derek Jensen, and he has a book called Endgame, where the premise of the book is that civilization itself is like a cancer on the earth, and that, in order to live harmoniously on this planet, we have to literally destroy civilization. That's like his basic philosophy. And a lot of that really resonated with me. I mean, he analyzes like the absolute horrors of what we're doing to this planet and to each other. And like, for example, like throughout the book, so I like Derek Jensen, but I don't fully resonate with everything he says. Throughout the book, he's like he the beginning of the chapters are like reason number 36 why civilization is destroying the planet. He's like, because more people care about tigers, the baseball team, than actual tigers that are going extinct. Like that's just a little example of like he basically shines a light on like how insane we're killing the oceans, we're killing the forests, we're killing the animals, we're just like killing everything if you really like take an objective look at it. And so I was starting to get pretty depressed when I would read all these Derek Jensen books. I mean, he is a brilliant writer and a brilliant thinker, and a lot of his analysis are very accurate. If people are really willing to face how fucked up some of the shit that we're doing is, and it's like it totally dissolves these illusions that we've been living in of like, oh yeah, we're just gonna like keep living this way forever. But anyways, I was getting pretty depressed reading these Derek Jensen books, and I finally came across this author named Charles Eisenstein, and he wrote this book called The Ascent of Humanity, like ascent, like rising. And so in his book, he explains how he also read Ishmael by Daniel Quinn. He also read all the Derek Jensen, or a lot of the Derek Jensen books, and he's like, okay, so we've spent the last 10,000 years of humanity like progressing civilization, doing all these things with technology. Like, was it all just a fucking mistake? Like, should we have just stayed hunter gatherers and like lived in the woods? That would have been the better option. Like, so Charles is basically asking like, when did we make the wrong turn to start destroying the planet? And so he read a lot of anthropology and stuff. And some people say it wasn't actually civilization that was the wrong turn. It was before civilization when we created language, because language like separated us from the world, and we started to like objectify things and places, and it started to like separate us. And then other people are like, no, it wasn't language that was our wrong turn. It was actually fire, because most animals don't actually have fire, or none animals except humans have fire. So fire created like a separate realm for humans, that separated us from nature. And that was like some people say that was when we started on the wrong path and we started to develop technology and everything. And so it's like you could trace it back, like when did humanity go wrong? When did we start screwing up, dominating nature and objectifying nature? And there's all these different theories of like when we made the mistake. And Charles was just like, what if we never made a mistake? What if we were actually supposed to go on this journey of becoming separate from nature and developing technology, not so that we could like take over the planet and create like a fucking AI technology vortex or something. He's like, maybe we went on this journey of separation so that we could basically like spiral upwards in our awareness and learn like what it's like to become totally separate from each other and totally separate from nature and feel like this pinnacle of separation, which in a lot of ways I think we're at right now. Like like if you just take a step back and think about how like insane and mentally ill like we've become as a species, it's mind-boggling. And so, but Charles's theory is that we actually went on this journey of separation so that we could like spiral up and learn all these different lessons along our journey and then come back into like a new state of, he calls it the age of reunion, where we reunite with like these ancient values and this ancient consciousness that we used to have when we were hunter gatherers and when we were more connected to the land. And the cool thing about it is, and he writes about this in an essay that I highly recommend called The Three Seeds. He writes about how like most of us went on this journey of separation, of disconnection from nature and getting stuck in our rational minds, trying to convert everything into fucking numbers. Most civilized humans went on this journey, but there are many indigenous cultures and tribal cultures that have like remained heart-centered and remained connected to the land. Like they never severed the connection. A lot of like Graham Hancock, who's an anthropologist, he went to a culture in South America and he said like, what is wrong with Western civilization? What is wrong with Americans? And the indigenous man said, it's simple. You've severed your connection with spirit. You've severed your connection with the spiritual realm. And that like hit me so hard because that literally is what it feels like. It's like you walk into a fucking shopping mall and everything's like sanitized. And I mean, even before the pandemic, everything is just like so that we've put our mark on everything. It's all man-made, and we've lost like the wildness of nature, and we've created like a whole different environment, an artificial environment. And so I think what we really need to do is like reintegrate with nature. And one of the ways to do that is a thing called permaculture. So I'm just going to say number one reason to be optimistic is permaculture. And I talked about this with my friend Brooke, who I did an interview with, which we'll publish sometime soon. But I'm going to reiterate these points because if you haven't looked into permaculture, like you don't deserve to say that you're not optimistic, in my opinion. Like, and everything I'm going to say here, I know that I'm a privileged white dude. Like I fully acknowledge that. But like I also acknowledge that everything I'm going to share here is very much applicable to people all over the world. My good friend Robin Bloom, he's helping with getting permaculture going in all these villages in Africa. And so permaculture can literally be applied anywhere. It's a set of principles to unify back with nature and to grow food forests everywhere. And it's super, super amazing. So the number one reason to be optimistic is permaculture. The second reason is to get a sip of water. By the way, I highly recommend everyone get a glass reusable bottle. It's crucial. So we stop using all this fucking plastic. Okay, gonna keep cruising. The second reason is actually, we're just gonna say the zoom out perspective. So a lot of times we're wrapped up in our daily life and we're super focused on the to-do list and everything going on on Facebook and all this shit, but we rarely like really zoom out. And there's a cool dude named Reggie Watts. Shout out to Reggie Watts. He has a quote that says, "When in doubt, zoom out." And the best way to do that is to like look at the trajectory of history from a zoomed out perspective. And so a lot of times you can feel pessimistic when you look at, politics and everything going on in the world. But when you look at like how much has changed in the last 100 years, even, well let's say the last, 100 years, like we didn't have fucking airplanes 100 years ago, and the thought of creating an airplane that's 750,000 pounds of metal flying through the air, that was like unfathomable. But now it's just like totally normal that you can send a fucking hunk of metal flying through the air. And we've just become so like acclimated to this thing, but we don't realize how like it's literally been in a blink of an eye in the actual trajectory of history when you do that like zoomed out perspective. And so not only have we had breakthroughs like airplanes and stuff in the last 100 years, but the main thing I want to focus on is like the evolution of human consciousness. And so literally in the last, it really amplified in the 1960s for a few different reasons. That was one, that was the birth of psychedel, or that was the rebirth of psychedelics coming to the masses, which helped us to amplify our consciousness. And the reason why consciousness expansion is so important is because it allows you to see things outside of your tiny little bubble reality. And so I feel like as more human beings expand their consciousness and learn about all of these different topics and issues and things, change will just follow naturally from that. And we've already seen that happening, with people awakening to, in the 60s also was the rise of the environmental movement. Like Rachel Carson published a book about the harmful effects of DDT. She wrote a book called Silent Spring. She's like, can you imagine waking up in springtime and there being zero birds, like no birds chirping whatsoever? And that was starting to happen because we were spraying these fucking chemicals which are killing all the birds. And that same kind of shit is still happening today. So we need more people to wake up and to change our ways on this planet. But like for so long, human beings have been unconscious of the way that we impact the planet and the way that we, affect everything. But in the last, especially the last, 60 years, since the 1960s, we've started to wake up to all these different issues. So the number two reason to be optimistic is to just zoom out. And you could think about this in the of like a historical perspective. Like if you think about the invention of the printing press, that like Time magazine says that was like the most important invention of the last 10,000 years, because what it allowed you to do, if you had all this good information to share back in the day, the best you could do was like stand on a rock and have like 100 people listen to you. But then when they made the printing press, you could print your information and start to distribute it all over the world. So that was like a huge shift. It allowed people to replicate information and send it far, far to other lands. So that was a huge shift. But look, fast forward to now, we have so much more power at our fingertips. Some 10-year-old kid in freaking, Zimbabwe could get a computer and make a YouTube video and get his message out to literally millions of people in 24 hours if his video goes viral. So like we have so much more ability to affect change at our fingertips. And again, these are tools that pretty much anyone with a computer and a phone camera can do. So it's not like something that just the privileged upper class have anymore. So number two reason to be optimistic is that zoomed out perspective, like looking at how much change we have available at our tools to affect change we have available at our fingertips at all times. And everything that I share in my books and online is like helping more people, is trying to help more people to be empowered and share their creative gifts with the world. Because, all right, I need a sip of water. I'm excited here. I encourage you to get some water too. So, a big point I want to make here is that, like, the humanity, I'm just going to use a metaphor. Humanity's on this, like, this merry-go-round. Like, if you imagine an amusement park, there's a merry-go-round, and we're like riding on these horses, and we're like bored out of our minds doing all this stupid shit. But if we were to like hop off the merry-go-round, at the center of the merry-go-round is like all of this truth and this goodness and excitement, and it's like it feels so much better. But we're hovering on this perimeter with like distractions and unhealthy habits and all sorts of things. So this is a metaphor that I'm just trying to share, and it's like if we just get off of this outer rim of like distractions and stupid shit, and we get to the center where the truth is, and like what is authentic, then everything shifts very fast. And so I encourage you to just like see what in your life is a distraction and is not really serving you and is taking you away from like the truth. And like another reason to be optimistic is because at the core of our being, like we're all amazing beings. You know, I truly believe that we're born like these innocent, beautiful things. If you look at babies, they're like these pure balls of light and joy. And it's only once we get, you know, corrupted by this insane society and we get passed along the wounds and traumas of our, you know, caretakers, that people start to develop all these problems. So it's like what we need to do is learn how to get back to like our core of our truth, of the love and beauty that we are. You know, so I encourage everyone watching this to see how you can do that. And like part of the thing I really want to share is that there's so much online and in the world that is like is resonating at that outer rim of just stupid distractions, things that aren't really serving you. And if it's like we can just focus on absorbing information that resonates more with that core of truth, then our lives are going to feel so much more fulfilling. For example, we wake up in the morning, say you wake up at 7 a.m. The truth is that we live in a freaking quantum universe. There's literally like a million possibilities of what you could do in the day when you wake up at 7 a.m. But instead, we normally go towards our regular routine of whatever we do as soon as we wake up. But what I'm saying is if you just try to, throughout your day, focus on things that are really going to like feed your soul, feed your spirit, you know, rather than watching some TV show that's not going to better your mind or your body or your health or your knowledge, like focus on something that's really like nourishing you, feeding you inspiration. You know, I'm all about like love and a compassion for people, but if someone's like always posting shit on Facebook that you don't really care about, just hit the unfollow button so that they're it's like you're not taking in their information that isn't actually serving you. You know, there's so much good information out there that like resonates with that core of truth, but you have to like prioritize it, and you have to, you know, focus on ways to do that thing, you know. And the same thing goes with music. Like there's so much good music out there that resonates with the core of truth, and that's what I try to share on, you know, teampachamama.net. We have a bunch of like musicians that we recommend on there. But there's also all this music out there that like isn't really serving you. Like it doesn't, you know, if you need to listen to like music that's all about like codependent love and stuff, okay, but you have to recognize, is this actually serving me? Is this actually like making me better myself, you know? But there's plenty of artists out there that are focused on that. So I really encourage you to, you know, take in music as if it's food, and focus on music that's going to like raise your mood and teach you cool things. So I know I'm on a rampage here, but this is a loving rampage. Okay, so the other reason, so we got permaculture, we got the zoom out perspective, we got the core of truth on the circle, the merry-go-round. The fourth thing I really want to talk about is all of the breakthroughs that have happened in the last 60 years related to the mind body connection and how to heal trauma and how to live a holistic lifestyle. So I'm just going to show you this here. It says, your body is your subconscious mind. This is from a woman, Candace Pert, who's a PhD. So this is actually an audio book that I listened to. It's only about 3 hours long, but it comes with this little booklet too. So like I literally think that that one sentence is possibly like the most important thing, the most important like discovery of the whole 21st century. Your body is your subconscious mind. So what does this actually mean? It means that all of the traumas that we experience in our life, it's not just stored on a mental level, it's stored in the cells of our body. And so if you want to heal a trauma, you can't just think your way out of it. You literally have to figure out ways to change the vibration of and the cellular makeup of your body. And this is what I've been dedicated to for the past 10 years, is literally healing all the different traumas in my body. And that's what I write about in my book, Unlocking Our Superpowers. So like there's so many strategies for this, but we have to realize that like whatever's wrong in our life, whatever traumas and wounds, it manifests on a mental level, but it also manifests on a body level. So if you, like, for example, have a hard time receiving love, there's probably a belief in your mind that tells you you're not worthy of love. You're unlovable, this and this. You're not good looking enough to receive love, this and this. But there's also like a body element to it. And for me, I've done freaking thousands of hours of Reiki, of sending healing energy and massaging to the back of my heart. So we have like the 7 main chakras, and there's the heart chakras right in the center, and on your back is where the energy actually goes into it. And so for someone who thinks that they're unlovable, which is a limiting belief that I'm still reprogramming, there's almost always going to be a thing in your body that mirrors that limiting belief. So it's like we develop a blockage on the back of our heart chakra, which creates like a guard. It's like, all right, I didn't receive love growing up, so I'm just going to put up a fucking shield so that I'm not like abandoned anymore. And I know so many other people that do a similar thing. Oh, wow, I didn't see all these comments. Yeah, I'm on a roll here, so I'm just going to read the comments after. But I love you all. Thank you for commenting. I'll try and tune into them before I end this video. So I'm going to get another sip of water. So literally, another reason to be optimistic is because in the last 60 years, we've finally started to understand how to heal the mind, body, and spirit, and how to reprogram our whole nervous system. I highly recommend a woman named Irene Lyon, Lyon. Her work is phenomenal. She's got a zillion YouTube videos. Like, I want to, I mean, part of my role, when I was a little kid, my dad called me Catalytic Kevin. That was my name when I like juggled and unicycled and shit. And I think it was kind of like a prophetic name, because I feel like part of my sole purpose is to like catalyze change in other people and to help inspire people to just be fucking excited about this shit. Like, I fucking love learning about reprogramming my nervous system, because once you realize how, once you start healing your body, your whole like perception of reality can shift. Like, I've fucking reprogrammed my brain so that now like my peripheral vision is way better, and like my friend did so much Reiki to my eyeballs that I can see so much clearer. Like, these are my personal testimonials, and so many other people have similar stories. So like, if you're wanting to learn how to heal, just know that like the solutions are fucking out there, and it does take a tremendous amount of work, but like it's totally worth it. And remember that your body is your subconscious mind. So whatever limiting beliefs you're thinking in your mind, they're also happening in your body, and you can work at them from both directions. You can do affirmations to reprogram your mental chatter, and you can do different body practices like yoga, earthing, exercise, strength training to start changing the actual vibration and structure of your physical body. So if you're interested in talking more about that, feel free to send me a message. So that's reason number 4. Your body is your subconscious mind. Just continuing to grasp like the magnitude of that understanding is incredible. So the number 5 reason I'm going to talk about is the integration of indigenous wisdom back into modern society. So for the last 5,000 years, we've been on this trajectory of modern civilization, like just trying to build more castles and fucking expand society and all this stuff. And it's basically been like a fucking genocide against tribal people that want to just live in harmony with nature. And they have their own advanced technology, but it's like spiritual technology a lot of the time. And most modern people didn't understand that. So they just decimated indigenous people all over the world. But now we're like circling back, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're circling back and we're spiraling up. So we're realizing like, oh shit, like maybe us modern, techno people don't really have all the answers. So like in the last 10 years especially, there's been such a resurgence of people going to the jungle and drinking plant medicine and learning from indigenous elders and like humbling ourselves of being like, wow, like we don't fucking know what's going on. And you guys actually do know a lot more than we know in a lot of ways. So there's been like this huge resurgence of like honoring and learning from indigenous people. And this just has huge ramifications. Like we've had this obsession with the rational mind and logic, and like you can see this in like politics and everything. It's like everything's based on logic, which is also, a lot of people say that's more of the left side, the left hemisphere of the brain, whereas the right hemisphere is more of like the intuitive, emotionally in touch with the feelings and in touch with nature, which also is often called the feminine energy. So with this resurgence of indigenous wisdom, it ties directly in with the resurgence of feminine wisdom and feminine leadership. Like 100 years ago, there weren't fucking women presidents, like world leaders. Like now you fast forward 100 years, there's so many female leaders in this world, and like that's what we need. And so we need this honoring of the holistic, both the masculine principles and the feminine principles. So we're in what I call the great integration. So I have a chapter in my book Unlocking Our Superpowers called the Great Integration, and that's where I believe we're at right now. We're literally like integrating the last 10,000 years of human history in this tiny fraction of a second of this modern last 60 years. And that's happening because we're like cross pollinating all of the wisdom that happened on the whole earth. It's like now it's tapped into the internet and you can like access it all. Whereas before, if you lived in Mongolia, then like you only knew anything that came from Mongolia. If you lived in, Sudan, you only knew anything that came from Sudan. But now we just have like all this information at our fingertips, and we can tap into it through the power of the internet. And so like I just want to pass on my excitement for all of this amazing things, amazing potential that we have at our fingertips, and to encourage you to like to seek that out, seek out things that like light you up and inspire you, rather than just like the bullshit of everyday, TV and Comedy Central and whatever is the mainstream going on. So there's literally been so many breakthroughs in the last 70 years especially, that there's so many reasons to be optimistic. So I'm a hardcore optimist. I do believe that basically things, all these crises, for the plural of crisis, multiple crises, they're all converging. Charles Eisenstein talks about this. Like we're at the converging of the crises. You know, we've got environmental crisis, economic crisis, education crisis, medical crisis. Everything is crumbling because our whole society is based on like these values which are out of touch with nature. So like this diagram here, which you might or may not be able to see, I'm gonna have to post a link later to the interview once it's posted. But this is called the tale of the two trees. So this is the dying tree over here, which on the top you have like all the biggest problems in the world: climate change, systemic racism, oil dependence, deforestation, all that kind of stuff. Then down here, the roots of that tree represent like the values and the beliefs that are causing all these fucking problems. You know, you have patriarchy, white supremacy, capitalism, you know, disconnection from nature, disempowerment, people feel hopeless, all of this stuff. But then you have this living, thriving tree over here, which represents everything, the new values that we want to embody in this new paradigm, which is actually the new and ancient paradigm. It's not all brand new. Most of it is like reactivating ancient, you know, technologies and belief systems. So you have this thriving tree based on these new value systems, you know, feminine leadership, council of wisdom, and holistic health, all these things. And that gives rise to all of these new systems, you know, alternative education, Waldorf schooling, holistic permaculture gardens, you know, all these different things. So this is a helpful model. I know I'm like missing the camera here, but this is a helpful model for understanding like the state of the world. If you want to like go more into that, it's in my book. It's also on YouTube. Anyways, I felt inspired to just like drop these things. So to recycle back the 5 reasons why I'm optimistic, if I can remember the order. So yeah, I'm just gonna circle around. I think we had permaculture is the number, or in no, neither one's more important than the other ones, but we had permaculture. We had you know, zooming out and looking at how much change has actually happened in the last 100 years, the rise in consciousness. Like literally in the last 10 years, the amount of people that have woken up is fucking millions. Tens of millions of people have like had some kind of awakening and shifted their consciousness. That was not the case back in fucking 1942. Like people were just kind of chugging along, I'm pretty sure, and like head to the grindstone. But like in the last 10 years, with the emergence of YouTube and internet and everything, so many people are waking up, and now is the time to like apply all of the knowledge. Like if you learn like, oh yeah, you know, holistic health is a good thing, but if you're not actually embodying that and applying it, then like what's the point? So anyways, number 2 reason to be optimistic is like the zoom out perspective. See how much change is happening, see how many people are waking up. Number 3 reason is the merry-go-round metaphor. Like so much bullshit, we're like circling around doing this lolly-da dance of unconsciousness, but when you like wake up and you realize that at that center of the circle is like so much truth and goodness, and you start focusing your life on that and like cutting out all the distractions, all the things that aren't serving you, whether it's information, food, friends that aren't really just serving your greatest good. You know, once you start distilling back to that core, so much amazingness happens. The 4th reason I listed was your body is your subconscious mind, which is just a whole gateway into the realms of healing trauma, healing the inner child, you know, balancing mind, body, and spirit. This is everything that I'm passionate about. So, you know, check out Irene Lyon, check out Peter Levine, check out Candace Pert. All that is amazing. The last thing I mentioned, what was it here? Oh yeah, the reemergence of indigenous wisdom and the feminine, honoring of the feminine energy. We've seen so many more leaders coming, that, women leaders. We've seen just the honoring of the divine feminine in general in the last, 10, 15 years especially. And YouTube is like giving a platform for this wisdom to reach so many more people. So those are my little downloads for the moment here. I'm just going to scroll through the comments. If any of you have a specific question you want to drop, please do. I will say that I have been doing more one-on-one coaching with people. I'll show you this, which is like a little booklet that I give to my coaching clients. This is a system that I share called the Affirmation Activations, which is a system for reprogramming your subconscious mind, which is your body. And so that's a great tool that I like to share. This is also the 6 pillars of a holistic lifestyle. So this is what I help people to integrate into their life. Balancing each of these pillars is crucial for having a meaningful, awesome life. So if you're ever interested in that, feel free to send me a message. I'm on Facebook pretty often, so feel free to send me a question if you want. All right, I'm gonna look through a few of these comments here. Scooby-Doo. Okay. Not sure exactly what's going on here. So Jessica says, I feel like most people don't actually care. And I understand that. I find that, there are a lot of people that don't seem to care, but there are actually a shit ton of people that do care. And I feel like the more that the people that do care, like, connect with each other, this is a huge recommendation I have. Like, connect with as many fucking people online that you can that care, and will create like a fucking care army and all empower each other. And it's like the more that like the web of people that care like stretches across the globe, the more likely that random other people that don't really care are gonna like get activated by those people. So a lot of people are against like preaching to the choir and saying you're just talking to people that already do this. But like, I just don't believe in that at all. Like, we all need to be constantly re-inspiring each other and supporting each other's projects. So Jessica, my recommendation is just to try and connect with as many people that do care all over the world. Friend request them, follow them, watch their YouTube videos, and just like don't really pay much attention to all the people that don't care, because in my opinion those people actually wish they could care, but they've like given up on themselves, and they've been so hurt that they don't have the energy to care because their wounds have too much power over them. And I have compassion for that, because a lot of people have a shit ton of wounds. Okay, let's see here. I know you're not gonna like this, but it's the music that hurts most. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but she says, thank you for sharing this message. Alyssa's sharing all kinds of permaculture love. Yeah, thank you. Ken says grounding can happen literally just through the earth, through being on the ground itself. Siesta knows of this. Yeah, dude, that's a huge download. Like, a lot of people in Central America, they take naps laying on the earth. Like, a lot of the farm workers and stuff, they'll take a nap like at 2 p.m. on the earth. And it's like a magical recharge, because you're absorbing, you're harmonizing with the Mother Earth, Pachamama's energy, and it's like you recharge your whole system. Most people in America don't spend even 1 minute connecting with the Earth's energy. It's like we're missing the fucking blast of healing energy that you could be getting every single day. So that's something I say in like every video of mine. Like, I challenge you to find a piece of grass that you can go to near your house or something, and just sit or stand in the grass, connecting your skin to Mother Earth's healing energy, and just like watch what it does. Doing yoga in the grass is great. All things like that. Ken says it takes a ripple. Change begins with a whisper. Yeah, that's the truth. Like, literally, the what is it? The butterfly effect, like a tiny little butterfly's wings flapping in Japan can like trigger a tsunami in South America. It's like we can't underestimate the power of just fucking trying. Like I feel like I've almost lost hope so many times, but I'm like, it's like that song on the radio. I don't know who it is. It's like, you gotta get up and try. Like, you gotta just get up and fucking try. Maybe no one will hear your message, but the truth is that almost always when you share your voice, like it will actually reach at least one person, and it will positively impact them. So like I can't stress that enough. Like we just have to freaking try to create change personally, create change in the world, and like just believe that it's going to happen. Alyssa says, I've been back to taking a nap time on the ground every day. We did this during nap time in preschool. That's awesome. Yeah, like I love sleeping on the earth, but I will say that is one thing that is a level of privilege. Like the sad truth is that a lot of poorer areas don't necessarily have a nice park that you can go to, and they don't necessarily have a beautiful forest that you can go to. Like in Pittsburgh, we're very privileged to have many parks that are, nature areas. But even if you do live in an area, there's likely some patch of grass, even if it's a tiny thing. I encourage you to try and find that, and find ways to connect to nature. If there's one tree that you can just meditate with that tree, then that's a good start. Does anyone have any other questions here? Alyssa says, life is a process. Spirit speaks loudly through us as we allow it. That's true. It kind of looked like you said something about willow there. I really love willow trees. Like, have y'all like realized how freaking amazing willow trees are? Like, oh my god. In Penn State, when I went to Penn State, there's like a few willow trees there that are just like it's I mean, I literally believe that nature is God. I mean, I believe God is God, goddess is everything, but like a 200-year-old tree is like a freaking deity to me. And like I treat those trees like many people would treat like a giant church or something. And especially willow trees. Like I'll have to, if you check out on my YouTube channel, there's a few videos that I filmed at this willow tree in Penn State. It's in the middle of a freaking golf course, and like I would literally go to this tree at like 5 a.m. and do yoga at 5 a.m. under this willow tree in the middle of the golf course. And sometimes like the golf guys would wake me up at like 7 a.m. because I had like fallen asleep meditating. They'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing here in the middle of the golf course at 7 a.m.?" I'll be like, "I'm just doing my yoga." But yeah, that's a risk you've got to take, is to be the weird person in the park doing yoga barefoot. Like it's totally worth it, but like you do have to break through that like social conditioning that like people are going to look at you weird, and that's part of it. And I'm putting willow bark on as you speak, Marissa says. Nice. I didn't really know willow bark lotion was a thing, but I'll have to look into that. Um, Ken, I don't know what a Donnie Darko moment is, but feel free to share in the comments. But yeah, dude, willow trees are so magical, and let me just pull up this YouTube video so I can post it in the comments. It's a great YouTube video actually. It's me telling my story of how I went to Burning Man for my first time, and and so I'm just talking about that story while walking around this willow tree. Let's see if I can find it. Bum ba da bum. Yeah, if anybody else has any other questions, feel free to drop them in the comments before I hop off here. Bum ba da bum. Okay. Yeah, Burning Man is actually about to happen again. I mean, it normally happens
Hello.
at the end of August. Or maybe it's the end of September. No, it's the end of August. It would probably be happening right now. Um, but it's not because we're in a pandemic. So yeah, if any of you want to check out this freaking epic willow tree that I'm talking about, it's in the video that I just posted on YouTube, talking about the magic of Burning Man. Yeah, it's a crazy ass story if you want to hear a funny story. And yeah, I will just say, like, while y'all are watching, like, I've been making YouTube videos for the last 10 years, and there are a lot of amazing YouTube videos on my channel where I, visit different cool places and talk about things. That's part of the magic of YouTube is like, if you like someone's content, you can just, I mean, I do this all the time. If I find someone new that I like their content, I just like pretty much binge watch their videos because it's like when you connect with someone and you realize that they have like medicine for you, which is like, pieces of wisdom and insight, then it's like a good idea to like continue connecting with them. So I love just like finding people on YouTube, watching a ton of their videos and like taking notes on it. That's something I always talk about also. Taking notes is a great external hard drive for your brain, and it allows you to, build upon different ideas so you're not just like storing them in your brain. So I encourage y'all to take notes. But yeah, I I have a lot of fun stuff on that YouTube channel, and I've lived like 10 lifetimes in the last 10 years, which you'll probably realize if you look at my videos. Um, but I'm okay with that. So, anywho, I'm probably going to hop off here pretty soon. If anyone has any questions, comments, concerns, um, Marissa says, can't post a pic. Willow Balm is a natural topical painkiller. That's awesome. I love killing pain. There's not many things I like killing, but pain is a pretty good thing to kill. And Alyssa says, look up Lori Ladd. Can you mention who Lori Ladd is? I'll just Google her name real quick. Bum, bum. Yeah, I don't know who Lori Ladd is, but yeah, thanks for tuning in, y'all. For real, if you have any questions, if you're interested in ever doing one-on-one coaching with me, feel free to send me a message. I thanks, Wesley. Hope you have a good night too. And yeah, check out teampachamama.net. That is where I will post a link to that. That is where I have a tremendous amount of articles on all different topics that I'm talking about here. Articles from both of my books, and other people have, contributed different cool things to that. It talks about different campaigns. And I'm actually going to jump off of here because I will say my friend Tara is doing a live stream concert right now, and I'm going to try and post a link to their music in the comments real quick. Okay, let's see here. I don't know. Maybe he's sending me it right now. Whoa, that was crazy. Yeah, he is sending me Tara Karina's live stream. Thanks for reading my mind. That would be crazy if you were not actually listening to my thing. Sent me at the millisecond I thought of it. But I'm guessing you probably are watching this, Zach. So yeah, if y'all want to tune into the end of Tara Karina's, and definitely watch the freaking replay of Tara Karina's music. Like, their music has changed my life like 496 times over. So like, check out their music. It's the real deal. So I'm gonna sign off and just jam out for a little bit. I love you all. Thank you for tuning into this, whether it's in the future, whether it's now, whether it's in the past. You're all awesome. And yeah, there's many reasons to be optimistic. I'm not denying that there's crazy, fucking horrible shit happening, but like, optimism is what keeps us going and fighting the good fight. So that's the message for now. I will talk to y'all in the future. Peace.